In the previous episode, we saw that Shimuzu was suddenly attacked, and his neck was severed in an instant. Seeing this, Kenzo and another hunter were extremely terrified. They quickly became alert and tried to fight the monster that had attacked Shimuzu. Just as Kenzo was about to strike, his neck was also sliced off in an instant. Witnessing this, another hunter decided to charge at the monster from behind to take it down. However, before he could even draw his sword and strike, the monster attacked first and eliminated him as well. In just a few seconds, some of Japan's strongest S-rank hunters were wiped out. Meanwhile, we see Korean hunters inside the same tunnel, engaged in battle against powerful ants. Ma also states that every ant here is as strong as an S-rank hunter. However, he insists that since they are hunters and the ants are magical beasts, it is impossible for them to lose. Saying this, he continues fighting fiercely. On the other hand, we see Cha Hae-in rapidly attacking the ants. As she fights with great speed and precision, she begins to say, Cha Hae-in mentions that the ants here are incredibly durable. Ma agrees, but points out that the good thing is that there aren't too many of them. Min reassures the group, saying, don't worry, I'm here. Even if more ants come, I'll help and we'll handle them together. Hearing this, Baek teases him, saying, you seem pretty confident now, but before coming here, you were scared. Min quickly denies it, insisting, no, that's not true. As they continue fighting off the ants, Baek observes, the deeper we go, the stronger the ants are getting. It seems like they are the Queen Ant's guards. Jo Sung Kim questions, does this mean we are on the right path or not? Cha Hae-in, relying on her sharp senses, confidently responds, don't worry, I can smell a powerful magic beast ahead. Choi then asks, that means Baek should be able to sense it too, right? Baek confirms, yes, and immediately activates his power to scan the area ahead. Using his ability, he detects the Queen Ant's exact location, deep within the chamber, heavily guarded. He warns the group, all of these ants are S-rank, so we can't be sure what rank the queen is. But one thing is certain, she is extremely powerful. However, if we fight together as a team, I'm confident we will win. Let's go. Hearing this, everyone gathers their determination and moves forward toward the final battle. In the next scene, we see the other hunters, including Kei and Aizawa, who have arrived to check on their team after losing contact. However, upon reaching the area, they are shocked to find the lifeless bodies of their fellow hunters. They can't believe what they are seeing. Just then, Kei suddenly senses an incredibly powerful energy, so overwhelming that he starts vomiting. He mutters, I've never felt a presence like this before. The immense fear takes over him, and in panic, he instinctively unleashes his ice power at full force, accidentally trapping himself in his own ice. At that moment, a powerful ant monster appears and swiftly attacks, eliminating him. Meanwhile, we shift back to the remaining hunters, who are growing increasingly worried as they fail to contact their team members. They decide to search for them, but soon find themselves ambushed by more monstrous creatures, forcing them into battle. In another scene, the Korean hunters finally reach the queen's chamber. However, they are immediately met with an overwhelming number of powerful ant monsters. Seeing the situation, Min quickly activates his power, boosting all his allies, significantly increasing their strength and readiness for battle. Ma Hunter steps forward first, drawing the attention of the advancing ant monsters. As they charge toward him, Choi decides not to hold back anymore. Normally, I don't use this much firepower, he says, but today I don't think I should hold back at all. With that, he launches a devastating attack, engulfing several ants in flames and reducing them to ashes in one powerful strike. Hearing Choi's words, Baek also agrees. You're right, Choi. There's no reason to hold back anymore, he says. I'll use my full power now. With that, Baek undergoes his beast transformation, unleashing his true potential. His strength and speed increase drastically, and he charges forward, slaughtering the ant monsters with ease. Cha Hae-in watches in awe. So this is Baek's beast transformation, she murmurs, impressed by his overwhelming power. Meanwhile, we see a cameraman recording everything live. The broadcast is reaching an audience of over 80%, and he receives an update. Can you move closer for a better shot? The cameraman starts moving forward, but Min quickly stops him. Going ahead is too dangerous. Stay back, he warns. Understanding the risk, the cameraman agrees and continues recording from a safer distance. Back in Japan and Korea, millions of people are watching this intense battle unfold in real time. In the next scene, Hunter Ma finds himself surrounded by a horde of ant monsters. Without hesitation, he launches a fierce attack, eliminating them one by one. On the other side, Lim uses his bow, firing a series of magical arrows that pierce through multiple monsters at once. killing them with ease. Then we see Cha-hee moving at incredible speed, taking down wave after wave of ant monsters. Her movements are so swift and precise that even the news commentators start praising her skills, amazed by her combat abilities. Finally, after a long and grueling battle, the hunters manage to eliminate all the ant monsters. Now, only the ant queen remains. Seeing this, Hunter Ma steps forward, ready to fight. "Let's finish this," he tells his teammates. Just then, Hunter Lim moves in from behind, preparing for a surprise attack on the queen. He then launched multiple attacks on the queen, after which Beck also arrived at the scene. Without wasting any time, Beck unleashed a barrage of powerful punches on the queen. Seeing this, the queen became furious and retaliated with a fierce attack, causing severe injuries to both Beck and Ma. They were on the verge of being defeated when suddenly, Min used his healing magic on them, rapidly restoring their strength. Seeing this, even they were left astonished. At that moment, Min confidently stated, "As long as I'm here, you don't need to worry about losing." Hearing this, Choi stepped forward and launched a powerful fire attack directly at the queen. However, even after the explosion, the queen remained unaffected. Instead, she let out a loud, piercing scream. Hearing this, Beck started to wonder, is she calling for help? Then they all noticed that the queen was trying to flee. But before she could escape, the hunters launched coordinated attacks to stop her in her tracks. While they distracted the queen, they turned to Cha-hin and instructed, "Go, attack her now!" At that moment, Min boosted Cha-hei in speed even further. Now, moving at twice her usual speed, she dashed forward, wielding her sword with precision. In a swift and deadly move, she slashed at the queen's legs, rendering her completely immobile. After that, Chae-hin leaped high into the sky. As she ascended, her sword grew in size, radiating immense energy. Then, with all her might, she executed a devastating attack, striking directly at the queen's neck with a spinning slash. The impact was immense, leaving the queen reeling from the blow. The queen's head was completely severed. She was finally defeated. Seeing this, all the people watching the live stream erupted in celebration. Cheers of joy filled the air as the news spread. The queen had been slain. Even Chairman Go was overjoyed. He smiled and said, "That means this raid was a success." On the other hand, Min declared, "We've won. Now that the queen is dead, whatever remaining ants are left will perish within a year on their own." At that moment, Beck spoke up. "You know, when the queen screamed at the end, it felt like..." But before he could finish, Min suddenly embraced him. "Forget all that! We won! We've avenged Inswag!" he said excitedly. The other hunters also began celebrating, knowing they had finally emerged victorious after a long and grueling battle. But then, in the next scene, Rage appeared with a grave expression. "Bad news," he said. "The ants, they're returning to the nest." He quickly informed Goto that the signal interference effect had worn off. Hearing this, Goto frowned and muttered, "What the hell is going on?" Meanwhile, Choi realized something shocking. Her fire barrier had been breached, allowing the ants to return inside. Liam was puzzled. How is this possible? We should still have time left, right? Could it be, when the queen screamed, she was actually calling for reinforcements? Hearing this, Chae-hin argued, "Even if she did, the ants shouldn't have been able to break through Choi's technique. Then how did they get in?" Just then, Beck sensed something approaching. His expression darkened, and he immediately warned everyone to be on high alert. A sudden, overwhelming presence filled the air, so intense that it sent chills down everyone's spine. It was suffocating, far beyond anything they had encountered before. And then, stepping forward, was none other than the monstrous ant itself, the one that had single-handedly annihilated countless hunters. It had arrived. Seeing it, Beck muttered in shock, "That's a black ant. But what is it doing here?" Suddenly, a strange energy began radiating from the ant monster. Chae-hin felt an unbearable discomfort. Her senses were being overwhelmed. She couldn't even smell properly. This presence, it was unlike anything she had ever sensed before. "This isn't just some ordinary magical beast. What is this?" she whispered in disbelief. Meanwhile, Ma clenched his fists. "There's no time to hesitate. We have to take it down," he declared, stepping forward. But the moment he moved, he felt a sudden chill run down his spine, as if he had already been killed. Yet in reality, nothing had happened. The ant monster had merely passed by him, completely ignoring him. Hunter Ma stood there, utterly shocked. The ant monster then stopped in front of the fallen queen. Without hesitation, it began devouring her. Everyone watched in horror, and And then, as soon as it finished eating the queen, the ant let out a thunderous, spine-chilling roar. Its aura flared wildly, its power surging. It was evolving. Its speed increased drastically. In an instant, it closed the distance between itself and Chahin. Before she could even react, the ant struck her with devastating force, sending her flying across the battlefield. She crashed hard, her body battered and broken. Seeing this, Ma's rage erupted. His body grew larger as he charged straight at the ant monster with full force, but the ant didn't even flinch. With just one hand, it shattered Ma's shield, along with his arm. Hunter Ma, gritting his teeth, prepared to strike with his other hand, but the ant monster grabbed Ma's other arm and broke it as well. Then, without a word, the monster turned and started walking away. Seeing this, Beck rushed forward to attack. However, the ant monster struck him with a single, devastating blow, eliminating him instantly. Now, it was heading toward Choi. Choi, realizing the danger, prepared to launch a powerful fire attack. But before he could, the ant monster attacked first, disrupting Choi's attack and severely injuring him. Seeing this, Lim quickly shot an arrow at the monster, but to his shock, the ant caught the arrow mid-air with ease. Hunter Lim stood there, frozen in disbelief, and in the next moment, the ant monster closed the distance in a flash and delivered a brutal punch, sending Lim flying. Just as the monster was about to land another attack on Lim, Ma suddenly appeared out of nowhere and struck the ant, knocking it backward. At that moment, Hunter Ma was completely healed. With a smirk, he looked at the ant and said, "Surprised to see me alive again? That's because we have an incredible healer on our side." Meanwhile, we see Min, who had been secretly healing Ma while staying hidden. Using his camouflage skill, he remained undetectable, but this skill had a major drawback. He couldn't move at all while using it. No problem, Min thought to himself. As long as my team can handle the fight, I don't need to do anything else. Back in the battle, Ma unleashed a flurry of attacks on the ant monster, but the monster dodged every single one with ease. The ant monster suddenly grabbed Ma's legs and started smashing him violently against the ground, throwing him from side to side. Hunter Ma's condition quickly worsened, so much so that Min couldn't even keep up with healing him. But then, Min noticed something terrifying. The ant monster had detected him, despite his camouflage skill, and in less than a second, the monster lunged straight at Min, launching a deadly attack. Beck saw everything unfold right in front of his eyes. Min, struggling, turned to Beck and said, "Run! Get out of here!" But before he could finish his sentence, the ant monster devoured him. Everyone watched in horror, unable to do anything. They were all too injured to move. But Beck was furious. He charged at the monster, ready to fight. However, the ant monster suddenly hurled Min's lifeless body straight at Beck, knocking him backward. Then the monster grabbed Beck by the throat. As it tightened its grip, Beck's transformation was forcefully undone. And then, something truly disturbing happened. The ant monster copied Min's voice. With an eerie tone, it said, "Beck, run away." Hearing this, Beck's rage only grew stronger, and he tried to fight back once more. But the monster simply sneered and said, "You are all weak. You killed our queen. There is no point in killing mere soldiers." Then, with a sinister grin, it added, "Tell me, where is your king?" At that moment, the monster sensed something. It had detected Goto's presence. "This presence, it's powerful," it muttered, and in the blink of an eye, it vanished, rushing straight toward Goto. Beck immediately realized what was happening. This monster was heading to attack Goto. "But we'll think about this later," one of them says. "First, we need to get out of here." Just as he finishes speaking, he notices something terrifying. An overwhelming number of ant monsters are now approaching, ready to attack them. Meanwhile, we shift to Goto. His teammates inform him that none of the other teams are responding. Realizing that something is wrong, Goto decides to invest. Concerned, Goto rushes forward and sees a horrific sight. Bodies of fallen hunters. They were the very hunters who had been with him earlier. Suddenly, his walkie-talkie crackles to life. A voice on the other end questions him, "Why aren't you checking in according to schedule?" Goto replies, "Something's wrong here." That man asks, "Since you're there, there's no need to worry. But tell me, how are the signals working?" Goto explains, "The signals have become weaker, which is why the ants have returned inside their nest." He asks, "If that's the case, what are the chances that any of the hunters have survived?" Goto takes a deep breath before responding, "The ant army is far too massive. Honestly, I'm certain that the survival chances of those hunters are zero." Hearing this, he says, "If that's the situation, even after using our full power, our Japanese tiny center wasn't enough. No matter. We will remember their sacrifice. He then continues, we will now deploy our second strike team. They are currently waiting at sea. No matter what, we will complete the Jeju Island raid. If we succeed in clearing this S-rank gate, our country will be praised. With that, he orders all remaining hunters to withdraw. That men orders. Move forward together with the second strike team. Goto nods. Understood. He turns to his team and informs them, orders from the chairman have arrived. We are pulling out. We need to retrieve the bodies before leaving. Just as they are about to depart, the same ant monster suddenly appears. Without warning, it attacks Goto first. However, Goto swiftly blocks the attack with his sword. Without wasting a second, Goto counterattacks and decapitates the monster in one strike. Despite this, one last hunter remains. Goto glances at him and instructs, go, join Bravo and prepare for the next phase. If you stay here, you'll just get in my way. So leave. The hunter hesitates, but ultimately nods. Understood, he says, before fleeing. Meanwhile, Goto senses the overwhelming energy radiating from the ant monster. This thing, it's getting stronger, he mutters. Then, the monster suddenly speaks. Are you the king of humans? Goto is stunned. This ant, it can talk? Interesting. With a smirk, he decides to play along. Yes, I am the king. Upon hearing this, the ant monster's aura erupts with even greater intensity. Immense magical energy begins to pour out of it. Goto's confidence wavers for the first time. This level of magical energy, I've only ever felt something like this from Jinwoo. Suddenly, darkness engulfs everything. The scene shifts. Goto's sword shatters. But what exactly happened? That remains unseen. Meanwhile, deep within the nest, countless ant monsters are shown advancing inside. And now, the ant monsters launch a fierce attack on the hunters. Seeing this, Choi fights back with all his might, but he struggles to take down all of them alone. Meanwhile, the other hunters are badly injured and unable to do anything. Seeing the dire situation, Beck says, we are in no condition to fight anymore. Things are looking really bad. It seems like this is the end for us. With that, he starts to lose hope. As the ant monsters prepare for a final assault on the remaining hunters, something unexpected happens. Shadows emerge from the hunters' bodies. These are none other than the ones Jinwoo had implanted in them earlier. The shadows rise and block the attacking ants in an instant, leaving all the hunters completely shocked. Beck, still in disbelief, exclaims, whose soldiers are these? Meanwhile, we see Jinwoo sitting on the edge of a building, far away. He instantly senses what is happening on Jeju Island. Standing up, he utters just two words, shadow exchange.